Get ready for Benjamin Knight Fuchs Live. Ben, how are
Liam,
you?
how's it going, buddy?
Going pretty good.
Good to see
Going
you.
pretty
It's
good.
been a while. Since we've done our little Ben and Liam show.
That's right. How was your Valentine's Day?
I haven't seen you since then. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess Valentine's Day was last week. It was good. It was good. What's today?
It's
Valentine's Day was Friday. Oh my God.
Friday.
I'm just losing my mind. Can you believe it's almost March?
I know.
Is this ridiculous? Is this
It's
crazy?
just
I'm about to go
time
through
flies
another
by.
year around the sun in March. My 65th year around the sun.
Congratulations.
Thanks. I
You
can now get
don't
Social
look
Security.
you don't look a day over 39. You look great,
No,
Ben.
thank you. I appreciate that. But I can get Social Security now. When I was a kid, life expectancy was 65.
Yes, that's
65 was
what I
like,
heard.
if you were 65, you were like, that was it. I'm
That's
not ready to
what
go. I got 30 more years.
me
At least,
too.
right?
I'm middle aged. I'm
You're
middle
middle.
aged,
You're
baby.
a kid compared to me. And speaking of age, I want to talk about osteoporosis today because nothing exemplifies the medicalization of what really are lifestyle challenges, health issues, more than this idea that osteoporosis is a disease. Most people tell you it's a disease, it's a pathology. It is not a disease. Osteoporosis is a sign of degeneration. It's a degenerative condition that just means the body's falling apart. And while it is associated with age, that doesn't necessarily make it a disease any more than aging is a disease. And so to think that we need to be medicalized when we have osteoporosis is just another example of the hegemony and the tyranny and the overreach of the medical paradigm that says we have to be treated as if we're sick when we're suffering from some kind of degenerative condition. Degeneration is nothing more than the sign of the body breaking down. And that's not a disease when the body breaks down. That's not a pathology when the body is breaking down. It breaks down based on poor living,
And
the triangle, basically.
and I hear that doctors will see somebody with bone loss and give them a drug that will create the
Well,
bone
there's no
matrix
drugs that will
as
create the
opposed
bone
to
matrix. There's only really two main treatments for osteoporosis. One is hormones. And it turns out that women are 4 or 5 times more likely to get osteoporosis than men. And whenever that occurs, whenever there's a disease that affects women more than men, and most degenerative diseases affect women more than men, the culprit is the
okay.
female hormone estrogen. So the thinking is your estrogen declines and then you get osteoporosis. So we'll give you estrogen and you won't have osteoporosis. The problem is estrogen does all kinds of things. It especially makes cells divide rapidly. And this is why it's associated with cancer as well as inflammation. And so just to give estrogen is not a healthy strategy to deal with osteoporosis. The second medical strategy for dealing with osteoporosis is a drug class called the bisphosphonates. So I'll show the first slide.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the bisphosphonates have a reputation for being among the
Bisphosphonate.
most toxic drugs that anybody could ever take. And that's because when the body wants when the body wants the bones to deteriorate, there's a reason for it. It's either due to just general aging, and we'll talk about some of the other mechanisms, the triangle mechanisms, or it's due to acidification. The bone represents a source of alkaline minerals, particularly calcium, and under conditions of ordinary degeneration based on poor diet and leaky gut and diabetes or metabolic syndrome and thyroid dysfunction, what happens is that the bone will dissolve in order to neutralize the acid in the blood. In other words, calcium is released from the bone as a way of alkalinizing low pH blood, a way of alkalinizing acidic blood. Acidic blood is a sign of toxicity. Acid represents toxicity. Acid represents stress. Acid represents cell death. Acid represents cells that are working too hard. And all of these reasons for acidification can lead to acid blood. The blood has to have a very tightly, it has to be kept the blood acidity level or pH level has to be kept in a very tight window of around 7.38-ish or so. I think 7.35 to 7.39, something like that. It's very tightly controlled. And once the pH drops, the body will use calcium in the bones as a mechanism for raising the pH in the blood, leading to acidification of the bone, or I'm sorry, leading to deterioration of the bone. Does that make sense? Did I explain that okay? Calcium leaches out of the bone as a mechanism for raising the pH of the blood. And so when the body wants this to happen, this is a very important mechanism, and you can't override it unless you use very serious medication like bisphosphonates. The problem with bisphosphonates is they completely throw off calcium metabolism, and calcium ends up depositing in various soft tissues, especially in the jaw. And one of the most dramatic examples of the toxicity of bisphosphonates is something called osteonecrosis of the jaw, which is a horrible condition where your jaw basically deteriorates. Your jawbone basically deteriorates. Reading from this article here, osteonecrosis of the jaw is a complication of this high-dose bisphosphonate use characterized by the finding of exposed bone in the oral cavity. And so it has been assumed that the primary lesion lies in bone, is related to oversuppression of bone turnover, etc. So nobody really knows why this happens, but the bottom line is you get accumulation of bone in areas that become toxic to the skin, if you will, in the jaw, and it's a horrible, horrible condition. And what ends up happening when you end up with this osteonecrosis of the jaw, basically the jawbone dies. That's what osteonecrosis means. And this is a horrible, it doesn't happen to everybody, obviously, but it can happen. And it represents what happens when you override the body's wisdom with pharmacology. I'm a pharmacist saying this. I understand there's times you need to override what the body's doing. Pain pills are a classic example. If you have an infection, you need drugs. But to try to treat degenerative conditions with drugs is fraught with peril. It doesn't even work, really. And if it, even if it does work occasionally, you're playing with fire. Next slide. The bone is actually largely composed, as it turns out, of collagen. Calcium is there to harden the bone, but the bone is made. If you look at the bone under an electron with a microscope or under an electron microscope, it looks like a net, and that net is formed of collagen fibers, and then calcium and other minerals are inserted within that network, that mesh, to harden the bone. But really, the big problem when you have osteoporosis is not as much calcium as it is the collagen, which deteriorates. And collagen deterioration is part of the aging process. So if you're interested in protecting yourself from osteoporosis, you want to use collagen building strategies. We'll talk about some of those here in a moment. Next slide. Acid balance, dietary acid load, and bone effects. This is what I was talking about, how acid is involved, or acidification of the blood is involved in osteoporosis. As the blood pH drops, the blood becomes more acidic. Calcium leaches out of the bones as a mechanism for alkalinizing the blood. This is from the journal Nutrients. Both in vivo and in vitro studies in animals and humans suggest that bone base helps neutralize the dietary net acid load. In other words, the bone is used by the body to neutralize the acid. The problem is the acid. And that's why I say you can't really override this mechanism, and you don't want to override this mechanism. You can't really override this mechanism without powerful pharmacology. But the body's trying to do something intelligent here. It's trying to alkalinize the blood. And in our medical wisdom, we override that. It's this kind of this idea that we're smarter than the body. Next slide. Well, here's something delicious. The triangle. Always go back to the triangle. It turns out that there's a relationship between dysbiosis, messed up gut bacteria, and osteoporosis. This is from the World Journal of Orthopedics. Assessing patients with osteoporosis, there is a strong correlation between gut microbe dysregulation and decreased bone density. Hello, triangle of disease. So when was the last time somebody went to the GP or the orthopedic physician or whoever you go to for your osteoporosis, OBGYN if you're a woman, and they got their intestine checked, or they got checked for dysbiosis or SIBO or some kind of gut bacterial problem? You always want to focus on intestinal health first and foremost, no matter what your health challenge is, even if you don't have a health challenge, a specific health challenge, even if you're only dealing with accelerated aging. And by the way, as a guy in the skin business, let me tell you, osteoporosis goes hand in hand with wrinkles. as well as vascular disorders, because the vascular system, the blood vessel system, circulatory system, as well as the skin and the bone are all largely based in collagen. And osteoporosis, wrinkles, and vascular disease oftentimes are related to deterioration of collagen and connective tissue, which again is part of, unfortunately, the aging process, and doesn't have to be, but based on how we live in our country, how we eat in the United States, and the prevalence of metabolic syndrome, as well as dysbiosis, as well as thyroid disease. Next slide. Microbial osteoporosis, the interplay between the gut microbiome, microbiota, and bones. A large number of studies are being conducted on the relationship between intestinal microbiota and bone metabolism. Bone metabolism consists of bone absorption. Formation exists in the whole process of human growth and development. The nutrient components, inflammatory factors, and hormonal environment play an important role in bone metabolism. Intestinal microbiota has been found to influence bone metabolism via influencing the host metabolism, immune function, and hormone secretion. Once again, we see the primacy of intestinal health and dysbiosis when it comes to degeneration. Next slide. Surprise, surprise. Point number 2 on the triangle of disease. Osteoporosis and diabetes. Although osteoporosis is normally associated with senescence and estrogen deficiency, diabetes also contributes to and or aggravates bone loss in osteoporotic patients. When was the last time somebody went to the OBGYN or the orthopedic physician and they got checked for their blood sugar for metabolic syndrome? Next slide. Well, what do we have here? Point number 3 on the triangle of disease: thyroid hormone diseases and osteoporosis. Thyroid hormones are essential for normal skeletal development and normal bone metabolism in adults, but can have detrimental effects on bone structures in states of thyroid dysfunction. The triangle of disease, people. And this is also why even really good nutritionists that I like, who tell you about vitamin K, which helps trap calcium in the bones, and who tell you about vitamin D, which is important for calcium absorption, and who tell you about calcium and magnesium supplements, or even sometimes they'll recommend estrogen or progesterone hormones, completely miss the boat. If you have thyroid dysfunction, intestinal issues with your intestinal bacteria, dysbiosis, metabolic syndrome, if you have malabsorption of nutrients, if you're dealing with acidification of the blood or acidity in the blood, it doesn't matter if you take your vitamin D and your calcium and your magnesium. You're not going to be able to support bone development as long as you have these overall systemic health issues, which is what the triangle is about. So you can't supplement your way back to strong bones. Does that mean supplements aren't important? No. Or yes. I'm not saying supplements are irrelevant. I'm not saying that you shouldn't supplement. I'm not saying that supplements can't be a powerful way to strengthen the body. But as long as you have metabolic syndrome, you can take all the calcium you want, the vitamin D and the vitamin K that you want. As long as you have thyroid disease, hypothyroidism, as long as you have dysbiosis, you're still going to have a problem with the bone, which is why we want to simplify. Yes, supplements are important. I'm not dissing on supplements. I'm really big on nutritional supplements, and everybody out there knows I recommend using nutritional supplements, and I use them myself. But you got to correct overall health issues: metabolic syndrome, dysbiosis, and thyroid function. That's a triangle of disease. Otherwise, your supplements, if they are going to be less than maximally effective, to be generous. So think of osteoporosis as another example of what happens to the body under degenerative conditions following disruptions at the level of the triangle: intestinal health, blood sugar issues, and what I call the adrenal thyroid axis. Supplements that you can use, obviously, for intestinal health: probiotics are important. I-26, which I talk about a lot, which is important for folks who are dealing with SIBO. Can't see it there. It's a longevity product. Hyperimmune egg, which we could probably talk about on one of our chats, Liam. And then, of course, fiber and building, strengthening the intestinal wall to prevent leaky gut. Mucoid algae can help, and correct metabolism, ketogenic and low calorie, and using blood sugar supporting nutrients. And then, of course, using strategies to calm the body down so that you can work on your adrenal thyroid issues, adrenal thyroid axis issues. You can't work on the thyroid by itself, but you can work on the adrenal glands by relaxing the body and also by focusing on the first 2 points of the triangle of disease. Don't overthink. Focus on the triangle of disease. Not only will you be strengthening your bone, you'll also be preventing wrinkles. You'll also be reducing the likelihood of ruptures and hernias and prolapses, which are also related to connective tissue deterioration. And then you'll also be supporting cardiovascular health. The vasculature, the blood vessels, and the arteries and the veins are all all are strengthened by collagen. They all have a base of collagen and connective tissue, which strengthens them. And even the heart itself, the organ, the heart, is sitting on a skeleton of connective tissue. So building the connective tissue is the very essence of all your degenerative diseases that are associated with the aging process. Look, osteoporosis affects old people. And by old people, I mean over the age of 50. 95% or so of people have osteoporosis are over the age of 50. So if it was just vitamin K2 deficiency, then kids would get osteoporosis. It was just calcium deficiency, everybody would have, or it wouldn't be age related. Clearly, it's not about calcium, and it's not about vitamin K, and it's not about vitamin D. It's about the overall deterioration and degeneration that occurs as we age, following the triangle issues with the triangle disease, as well as nutrient deficiencies probably, and also hormonal issues as well. But focusing on the triangle will give you the most bang for your buck. Intestinal health, metabolic syndrome, that is dysglycemia or messed up blood sugar, and working on the adrenal thyroid complex. You'll get beautiful skin in the process. You'll get a nice strong heart and blood vessels and vasculature. And by the way, cholesterol deposits in the vasculature, the arteries, when the connective tissue is weak. So you'll also be preventing the accumulation of cholesterol, which is used by the body to strengthen and repair the vasculature under conditions of connective tissue deterioration. I'm not saying supplements are not going to be helpful for a lot of things, but when you have a degenerative condition, you've got to work on the overall bodily system first and foremost, in addition to using nutritional supplements. And by the way, when it comes to nutritional supplements, if you're going to supplement, use protein, because the bones are protein. Yes, there's calcium there, but the bones are mostly made up of protein, as the rest of connective tissue is mostly made up of protein, collagen specifically, the body's most important protein.
When you frame it like that, Ben, it just seems like common sense.
It does, doesn't it? They don't want
yeah.
us to use common sense. They want us to use medical sense. Medical sense is not common sense. Common sense anybody can have. But medical sense, you need to get a college. You need to get not only a college degree, you need to get an advanced degree. You need to be credentialed. You need to follow the whole standards of care scandal, where if you don't follow what everybody says you're supposed to do, you can lose your license. Doctors can lose their license if they don't give somebody a statin drug or a bisphosphonate or whatever it is for a health condition that is known to be treated by a statin drug or a bisphosphonate or whatever else, particular
whatever engineered petroleum molecule
that you happen to be talking about. So yeah, the medical model wants to own these things. These are lifestyle based. Take the power back. Put the power back where it belongs. Back in our laps. It means we're responsible, but it also means we're powerful.
Absolutely. And I've
Yes, sir.
got a question for you,
Yes.
but before I move forward, I'd like to say hello to Angela.
Hello,
Angela Crowder gave us
Hi,
a
Angela.
shout out.
Angela. Thank you,
Thanks
Angela.
for
Appreciate that. Hope that made
comment
sense,
on
Angela, because
YouTube.
Angela's a woman and she is going to be more prone towards osteoporosis than men. And that does have to do with the hormone estrogen, but estrogen itself is oftentimes, or estrogen problems themselves are often due to digestive health issues, intestinal health issues. And the intestine is a major player, and bacteria in the intestine are major players in estrogen metabolism.
And we have Ben's website. Ben, would you like
up
to
there?
sort of,
Truthtreatments.com.
shout out
Let's
to
get that
the
up.
to
Truthtreatments.com.
this very sexy looking website? I love the design here. It's
with my
just
Truth
so
Treatments,
well
I
put
felt like
together.
the skincare business needed to have, excuse the pun, a makeover. Yes,
A
because skin health. Look at
makeover,
me, 15
yes.
years ago. That was no,
Not much different. You're
yeah, I was
aging
a little
very
skinnier back
well.
then, but that's okay. So anyway, skincare is stuck in this 19th century model. The modern skincare product that everybody uses, the cream and the lotion, that was developed in the mid 19th century, in the 1800s. And it hasn't changed. If your great 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 grandmother got into a time capsule, a time machine, and came from the 19th century to the 21st century, she would know just how to use her cream, the creams and lotions in your medicine cabinet, in your bathroom cabinet, wherever you keep your moisturizers and your anti-aging products, because it hasn't changed until now. True Skin Health contains all my formulations contain no water, no wax, no fillers, no gums, no vegetable oils, no silicone. It's all 100% active and functional ingredients. So you only use 1 or 2 drops. So what that means, number one, is value. And number two, what that means is you don't have to smear a bunch of stuff on your skin to get benefits. The second thing my Truth treatments, or that distinguishes my Truth treatments from other skincare, is their healing products, their first aid products. They were all born in the pharmacy for helping folks deal with skin traumas or skin pathologies or burns or some kind of a serious skin health issue, skin health problem. That's why I call Truth treatments Truth Skin Health. It's about the health of the skin. If you can't put your favorite anti-aging product or your favorite moisturizer, your favorite anti-wrinkle product on a cut or a scrape or a burn or your baby's diaper rash or sunburn and have it accelerate the healing of that sunburn or diaper rash or abrasion or wound, it's not a wrinkle cream or an anti-aging cream either, because the same mechanism that heals the skin beautifies it, and healing is your proof that your skin health product is working. And that's what Truth treatments are all about. They're healing products that work to beautify the skin because they heal the skin first. And so you should check them all out at Truth Skin Health, or check out our reviews at Trustpilot. You'll be blown away. And I think we have a special running. Show that the first page there. I think there's a special running there somewhere. Did I see a special? I think there's a special. I don't run the special thing, but
Yeah, I think it popped out up
I think
there
there
and
is a special somewhere there. So
away.
just go over to truthtreatments.com if you're listening to this out there, ladies or gentlemen. If you want to buy your lady something or you want to use it yourself, I have a lot of men who using my Truth treatments, and you only need 1 or 2 drops. You don't need a lot, and that's the whole point. Is that if you need to use a lot of product, the implicit message there is there's nothing in your product. You don't use a lot of medicine when you're taking your medicine. You take 1 little pill. You don't say, I'm really sick, I'm going to take 30 pills, right? But with a cream, you say, oh, I'm really dry, I'm going to put a bunch of cream on. That's not how skincare should be. Of course, I'm a pharmacist, so I'm a little bit prejudiced, but I think skincare should be like medicine. And in fact, we actually include a little spoon with our Truth Discovery Kit to allow you to get, we call it the perfect dose, just so to allow you to get the perfect dose of our Truth Transdermal C Balm, our Truth Retinol 1% or 5% gels, as well as our Truth Omega-6 Healing Cream. These are serious products for serious skincare connoisseurs.
Outstanding. I have one last question, but before I ask you the question, let's say hello to Patty. Hello,
Patty
gentlemen, she says.
Patty in Santa Cruz. I haven't heard from her in a while. But Patty, say yay or nay if you're Patty in Santa Cruz. We'll wait for you.
Thanks, Patty. And as a pharmacist, is it more difficult to formulate with natural products, more
like
stable?
That word. Natural is a marketing word.
Word. Okay, what should I use instead of natural?
Maybe you want to use it too. Biogenic. And I made that up.
Okay, cool, man. I'm more intelligent when I say biogenic.
But it's more meaningful. See, natural is really kind of a meaningless word when you think about it. Like, what's not natural? Oh, you made that in your laboratory.
Right,
Ben.
exactly.
That's not, really?
Sure.
A bee makes honey. Does that mean honey's not natural? Right? A cow makes milk. Does that mean milk is not natural? Things.
The earth makes oil. Does oil
exactly
not natural?
Right. So this distinction of natural and unnatural, that's marketing gibberish. There's Patty. She says,
Patty,
where Murrieta is. I think that might be my friend Patty. But anyway, I like biogenic because biogenic says something.
Okay.
Natural, everything's natural. Nothing's natural. As soon as you cook something or pull the berry off the tree or the apple off the berry off the bush or the apple off the tree. It's not natural anymore. As soon as you cook it in the factory, the laboratory, it's not natural. So natural is just this gibberish word. Plus, cow manure is natural. You're not going to wash your face with cow manure, right? So who cares if it's natural? Biogenic means familiar. Bio for biology, genic for genesis, has its beginnings in biology, in you. The ingredients I choose are in you. All my ingredients, even if my carrier systems are analogous to things that are in your skin. So when you put a Truth treatment on your skin says, welcome home. I know who you are.
What a fantastic marketing
Come on down.
thing, man. Yeah, welcome home, baby.
Yes. You know, natural, you put arsenic on your skin or hemlock on your skin or, you know, uranium on your skin. Your skin says, what the heck are you? And why are you on me? There's a thing now with beef tallow.
Exactly.
People put beef tallow on their skin.
Right.
Really? You're going to put beef tallow on your skin. Aside from the fact that the tallow or the wax is where all the poisons and the hormones and the pesticides deposit, what are you going to do with beef tallow? And the beef tallow, by the way, is usually from, you don't know where the cow came from, what the cow was eating. You don't know anything about the animal that the tallow is coming from. So beef tallow is just a silly idea.
Sure.
Plus, it's not going to do anything except soften your stratum corneum. You're not going to get any benefits from it. But vitamin C and vitamin E and minerals and fatty acids and retinol, these are all things that the body uses. Not even the body, cells. Skin cells use. Skin cells don't use tallow. They use vitamins, and they use amino acids, and they use fatty acids, and they use plant-derived ionic minerals, electrolytes, and that's what Truth treatments are all about. They're biogenic ingredients that cells know what to do with, and that's one of the major distinctions of my Truth treatments. Healing is another important distinction of my Truth treatments, and then also the fact that you only need tiny little doses because we took away all the BS. That's why I call the products the truth. Thank you so much, Tim. It's a pleasure to see you. And we'll talk to you next Sunday, I guess.
Pleasure to see you again, Ben.
Yes.
Next Sunday it is. And everyone, don't forget, check out
TruthTreatments.com.
Treatments.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
.com on the web. And we'll see you next Sunday.
Bye.
All right, everybody. Take care. Thanks. Bye-bye.